everybody. Welcome back to the Awaken podcast, where we are building bridges by bridging the gap. Today, we have an amazing opportunity to sit down with the founder and CEO of the Awaken Foundation L3C. Everything that we have been talking about, we're going to ask her the good questions, the nitty gritty. How are you today?
I am wonderful, Mercedes. I am grateful to finally be in the seat.
Man, talk about finally.
I know. It's been a minute, but I made it.
Because you've been working. You've been working.
I have.
You've been building the foundation.
I definitely have.
You've been making it happen.
Yes.
So today, this episode is going to highlight your journey, you being the leader and the CEO of the Awaken Foundation. We're going to talk about your personal story, your vision, a little bit of the challenges of the organization. You know, you built this from scratch.
Yes.
Like literally, foundation up, your team, the vision, everything. So we are going to talk about it all. But before any of that, tell us who you are. Who is Jurea?
Who am I? So I am Jurea Crudup, born and raised in Rockford. Definitely a Rockfordian. Love what I do. And I'm glad to even just step into newness, if that makes sense. I feel like the story that is going to be told today will be something that I hope inspires someone else. But it's going to be the good, bad, and where we are now.
Yeah.
You know, the journey, you asked about the journey and just things like that. So I'm here. But who am I? I am Awaken. I guess that's really it. I am definitely took the time to really think about today, even sitting here today, just knowing that it sparked some energy in me in a different way that I knew today, the 19th of September, like the 9th month that I finally made it in. But Awaken, let's talk a little bit about Awaken. Awaken was birthed in Swedish American ER. Wow. It was birthed during a 3 p.m. to 3 a.m. shift. And it was one of our highest crime rates in Rockford. And after we were going through a journey that day, I was like, okay, everybody always talks about the problem. Where's the solutions that we can put on the table? Yeah. You know, I was raised like that. My father used to tell us, I used to always say, I want to use the car. And he'd be like, why? What's your why for it? You know, it was always, you come with a solution to why you need this. And I seen Rockford needed a why. So I started on a journey with, how do I build this? What is built? So I put on a piece of paper, all these nurses sitting around, we all just sitting talking. So it's probably about 5 o'clock in the morning after we've had some GSWs come through. And I put squares on the paper. Piece of raggedy paper. I think I still have the paper. But I just said, apprenticeship. What is an apprenticeship? And I started with, what are things that'll never go away? Building.
That's true.
It's always going to be buildings built or roads to be paved. It's always going to be something. And of course, we always going to eat, no matter what, whether it's vegetarian, it's a high end, it's always going to be something at the table to where we can offer. So those two kind of went hand in hand, not literally, but they were something that was always going to stand tall. So I think that week I just took the week to see. And then that's when I met Tom McNamara. He was coming into office at that time. And so had an opportunity to sit and talk to him and talk about what was going on. And as he was running for office, I said, hey, this is a little vision I got. And we kind of talked, but I didn't want to just throw a vision out there because it's one thing, you know, we'll start and we'll just start running. So then I ran into an awesome man named Elmo Dodd. And me and you both know he was an amazing mentor. And if anybody knows Elmo, he's a big guy with a voice that is going to empower you, but it's always going to correct you too at the end. So he helped me build it. And I remember one day, I've always told him, I'm always going to tell this story. Me and him were at the library. I was ready to give up. I had got so many no's and the no's was like stacked up. And I was like, Elmo, I'm done. And he was like, he's seen it in my face. So we walk out. I said, Elmo, you know, I've been working on this. I'm almost like we were like at the end of the year, it was cold. And he was like, come back into the library. And I was like, Elmo, what? He was like, let's have a piece of pie. I was like, Elmo, I don't want a pie. Pie? Like, I'm literally, he said, have a seat. And it was Magpie that was in the library. I was like, okay. So he ordered this pie. I didn't want no pie. So he ordered one piece.
Man.
And as he ordered the piece, we both looked at the pie. So he split the pie in half. And he pushed a little piece. I'm still just looking at him. He said, "You see this piece?" And I said, "I do." He said, "Now look over there. That was the whole pie." And I said, "Okay." He said, "You got a piece now, but it'll be whole one day." And I just stepped away and I said, that's a nugget I'm going to take with me no matter where I go in life. And so on the way out, I did eat the pie. You know, I felt better.
Yes.
And then he gave me 24 hours. He's always a person. He's going to give you time to think about it. And we both know. So he gave me time to think about it. And then he called me. He always sends out this encouraging text, and he called me. And as he called me, I was like, I'm back. You know, I'm back at it. He was like, back on the bike. So I'm proud of you. So that was it. So then, then as the journey, it always really started with my dad. But these are just nuggets of things that have happened. And, we always have morning conversations, me and my father, and just talking to him about the journey. And as we're building the journey, I'm still working as I'm building this out. So I'm still working 3 12-hour shifts and trying to figure it out. And as I'm figuring it out, I decide, let me look up construction and pre-construction, just everything. And I'm going to fast forward it. So I flew to Florida, stayed a week in Florida to get to know the curriculum, because it's one thing for us to just start making stuff and putting it together. Yeah. And so then I met one of my team, one of the young ladies that's on our team now, Tanya. And as I was building, it was like, okay, I can build a house. I can build a house, because, as you build a foundation, you still have to continue on. And so as I was building the foundation, I ran into her and went and did the class, got a lot out of class. I knew nothing about no construction.
Oh, wow.
Nothing.
At all?
No.
To where you are now?
Yeah, I knew nothing.
Wow.
So I became what they call the master trainer and did that, and then spent another week with getting it, and then just started boots on the ground. Took a bidding and estimating class. Probably was dangerous of what I was doing. My Swedes at that time, they would let me off at 3 a.m. in the morning. I'd drive to Chicago because it was a Saturday class, and I couldn't go to sleep because I would miss it. Because I knew if I went home and went to sleep, I was going to miss it. So I'm in the parking lot. The security guard at the parking lot, he would make sure I was good. I'd sleep in the car a little bit. Probably wasn't the best, but everybody at the church knew me. They knew I was there. So I did that for a whole summer. Did a bidding and estimating class. Ran into some amazing people. And the first group that took me on was the Tollway, Illinois Tollway and Cook County partnership, Chicago Cook County workforce. Took me in right at 2019. And as they took me in, they kind of branded me in this area. Yeah. And so I became the outside of Cook County, but I was making the most noise for what they were doing. It was new to me. I was hungry. Yeah. So with my hunger, I'm on the bike and I'm riding, So that was pretty much it with them, making that relationship, but amazing, relationship. So then I journeyed into the culinary aspect. Okay, so I'm still got this going, but COVID hit. So some people look at COVID as a bad thing. Yeah. It was wonderful for me because it was a downtime. Yeah. I got to do work. It was quiet. I got to do as much research. So I kind of flew to Vegas, found out about the culinary aspect, and I started with College DuPage.
You really put a lot into this.
Yeah. So after starting and getting started, started the culinary apprenticeship under accreditation firm, and just kind of been boots on the ground for there with that portion of that journey. So.
Wow. See, this is the part that I love, because when people see you, you often like to play the background.
I do.
And me and Q love to push you into the forefront, because obviously these are things that we've heard before. Yeah. And I love that you mentioned Elmo, because that's actually, he told me about you before I met you. And he was like, do you know Jurea Crudup? And I was like, no. And he was like telling me everything that she was doing. He was like, you need to meet her. I think you guys would do well together. Yeah. And I was like, okay. And then, when Sonny's Place opened, I was there all the time because that fish was amazing. And that's how we ended up meeting. And it was funny because when we met, I didn't know you were the you from the story he told me.
Right.
So I was like, oh, yeah. And I was just talking to him one day. I was like, I let this lady named Jurea. And I was like, wait a minute. You know, something clicks.
Uh-huh.
I was like, that's the lady. Because the name Jurea isn't common.
It's not
And
common.
I was like, that's the lady you were talking about. He was like,
common.
you had a chance to meet her? And I was like, yeah, we're going to sit down and meet. And he was like, you need to. He's like,
Yeah.
I think it'll be good.
Yeah.
So to hear everything as far as like you not even having any construction or culinary experience, I didn't know that.
No.
Like you came into the game fresh. Boots really on the ground,
Yes.
building it up.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that I guess I can say that I admire the most about
Thank you. Yeah.
is you've come into this field and you really do the work. Me and Q often have these conversations. I don't know if I'm supposed to say this. You can fire me if I do. It's okay, But you have all these people getting the money and they're not doing the work.
Yeah.
But Awaken is really doing the work. And we talked about this on another episode that you guys are doing more than just the work. When you see the students at graduation and you see the time that you put in with them, they're really family.
Yeah, they really do.
And you guys put time out outside of those hours.
Yeah, and Mercedes, it's funny that you say that about family because even building this out, I've met some wonderful young people. Hunger, coming to class, don't know direction. They mad because maybe their probation officer sent them or they've been through life and life hit them. They come in with their hands folded, so, but at the end to see how the barriers have been broken or to hear the story of I lost my sister and I ended up popping pills and this is why I'm here. And, just to be the encouragement. And so that being said, I taught for the last 4 years. I started teaching. My first portion of teaching was the DeKalb Data Center with Mortensen, and shout out to Mortensen. They've been handholders too, but just going in there and seeing how we could break ground and see something built. So as you say, building bridges, it's definitely been building in so many different facets, but to have a mom call you just saying, I don't know, what are you doing to my kid? But he's changed. And I said, well, if I hear Miss Jurea one more time, I said, sometimes I think I go and I hear Miss Jurea in my sleep, but it's a good Miss Jurea. It's a good relationship and how the relationships have been built. Right now, I have to say, trade-wise, we had 32 that have gotten in the trades from the beginning to now. But with the trades came barriers.
Yeah, I can imagine.
There became barriers, but not bad barriers. I think the concept of pre-apprenticeship and apprenticeship is hard to have an understanding. So I like to have people go and grow. And when I say go and grow, I love to see them where they start off, but they continue to grow. So I've done that with the actual Awaken. I want to be able to grow. So I did turn it into a full apprenticeship. So we have pre-apprenticeship and full apprenticeship. And now this year we got our journeyman's license. So I'm excited about that. That was a lot of work, but it was something that we've created a foundation. So we've kind of, as you know, we've been trying to bridge those gaps to be able to say, you know what, if the world don't take them, now I got to take them and kind of be responsible. So sometimes I find myself being a mother in the room, So definitely that's something that I have look forward to. I think I'm going to miss the teaching aspect because I have had to now change hats and actually be the CEO. So
run the company you created.
Definitely got to run the company. But sometimes I be wanting to get down and dirty and go back, But at the end of the day, I do know that I have to continue to build what we've started.
Question: in this moment, how does it feel when you talk about all of this stuff and when you think about all this from the moment of being at Swedish American to where you are now, sustainability of a company and apprenticeships with students and families that you've built? Obviously, you've had a team, but this comes from you and your vision.
I'm gonna be honest. I never really took the time to look at it until I've gotten that question so many times this year.
Yeah.
Because people think I just built this year.
No.
They don't know the boots on the ground that was prior to this. Yeah. So when they see it, they think I just was this pop-up that just happened. So nobody knows that it started in 2016. Man. Nobody knows, that unless they dig, and I've had some people dig, but I feel like I like to be in the back and let the program lead. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's where I've gotten more determination. I felt like I've gotten more out of it. But when I hear the story and I say the story, It's just a story.
It's normal to you.
Yeah, it's my everyday living. I get up, get my miles in the morning. You got to film me. You keep saying that, but it starts too early for you. So
you said 5 a.m.
4:45 is when
I don't know if I'm that much of an adult. 4:45.
4:45 is when the day starts.
We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it.
Yeah, you're gonna have to come and do it. But it starts with me being quiet, getting just to know what the day is going to. And every day I say it's gonna be a great day. Yeah, that's how I lead my day. You know, I have. And then I probably call Q about 6:30. You know, I try to, I see. And the reason why I'm going to go into that, the reason why I say I call Q, because first it was just us two for a whole year. There's something on the table now that me and him can't have meetings by ourselves because we've made such a journey. So now we have to bring it back to the table with everybody else. Because I see sometimes we do forget that there's others on the team. And our team has really grown so much in this last year. But back to your question, I'm gonna be honest. I don't look at it. Yeah. I feed it. Yeah. I feed it with more, and the more is usually I'm feeding it with more from the students that we've had. So I think when somebody tells a story, I'm like, what are they talking about? You know, or what? Where did that come from? Where did they get it? Yeah. Somebody went and did a chat GPT on me, and
you pulled it up.
Yeah, and I'm like, who wrote that? where did all of this come from? So AI really told my story. They told all my business. One AI tells, I don't know if anybody knows, I saved a man at the gym. 3:00 in the morning. Yes, it is an article. Was at the gym about 3 in the morning. This guy, he came in after me. I'll be honest, I was listening to Too Short. I had my headphones on, and I seen a girl running. Well, it was only like 4 or 5 of us in the gym at that time of the morning, and he was on the treadmill, and he went down and had what they call a widow maker. And so the lady was a girl in there. I was like, I can't flip him by myself, but somebody helped me. Flipped him over and, started CPR on him. And then the paramedics came and I got back on the treadmill. So the police officer knew me. Wow. And I really didn't want anybody to know. So I did call later on as I got to my shift. Well, somebody said, I think she worked at the ER, but I never gave my name or anything. Yeah. And so the wife ended up looking for me. Wow. And so I waited a few days and I came and I had a baseball hat on. I went to see him and somebody called the wife and was like, I think the person is here that saved him at the gym. And all of a sudden, the nurse that was there was my daughter's best friend. So then the story kind of got out. And after that, we became family. Yeah. Like they call me every year, Christmas, they call me on my birthday, they send me gifts. So we have just kept up. And now it's been like 7 years and he's doing really well. He did have a few deficits, but doing very good. So, but if somebody goes chat GPT, they're like, hey, I didn't know you saved somebody. Well, how'd you find out? Well, that's all you gotta do is,
Going
so think about how life has went from here to now. Everybody knowing, you can look up anybody nowadays. So
can we take a moment to just like process that? Because I know you don't get many moments because you're always in the work. When she says boots on the ground, she really means boots on the ground.
For sure.
And you prefer that. But can you just take a moment to just feel everything that you've done, from literally saving people's lives to becoming the solution and the resources that people need? Like, that's not easy. It's not easy work.
No.
And it's not, I hate to say it like that, but it's not normal.
I believe it.
It's not like for a person to have such will and such drive to keep going and to make something like this happen. Yeah. And obviously it didn't happen overnight.
No.
But your vision is coming to life.
Let's sit with that for a minute. I'm going to tell you where that came from. Mm-hmm. When I was younger, I was like my dad's sidekick. Yeah. And being his sidekick, I seen like he had a drive for ubiquity. He had a drive. My sister, we're 9 years apart. Yeah. So I was always like the little girl that went everywhere with their dad. I was a daddy's girl. Yeah. And so sitting with that, my father was building his business. And so I remember him saying to me one time, one day you gonna work for me? Yeah, And then by the time I say I was, 12 years old working for him, but I'm gonna say probably like about 15. I said, if you don't bother me about it, I will come and work for you. And when I came in, it was a different spin on life. He said I was a little social worker because I knew everybody. And it was like, they would come in. I knew music, but then it was, this man just told me his life story and I don't know this man. Or, all the different facets. I was a DJ.
Yeah.
I mean, I DJed for my father before.
Oh, wow.
I DJed for about...
What?
Ooh, yeah.
Cute.
So
we gotta put her in on an event.
Yeah, I DJ'd for my dad for about 6 or 7 years. I used to always say I had the crowd before the crowd came, and then when the crowd found out that I was doing this, then I could start saying. So I started at 6 p.m. and I would DJ until my father arrived at 11, and then I would work the door. So we would switch. Wow. So I did that. So I knew a lot of blues. I knew a lot of, so because that was who was there. It was all older people. So I had to entertain this older crowd. So that was another building block. And then as time went on, I kind of got into like the nursing field. And I was like, well, so I was trying to do both. I was helping my father and doing this. So, but as I was, I'm going to say 12 or 13 years old, my father was like, you need to read this book. Mm-hmm. At 12 or 13, I wasn't into this book. Yeah. He gave me, and my father always has all these books. Mm-hmm. I read the book and it was Think and Grow Rich. And I was like, what am I reading this book for? 12, what is it? Wow. But it was a building block to have you have a different understanding. Yeah. At 12, 13, I really didn't know. Mm-hmm. 30 hits. I'm like, I kept telling my parents, it's much more to life than this. I got a child. Yeah. I know it's much, but I said, it's something about helping others and I don't know what it is. So I couldn't pull that portion out. So I started studying religion, and got really heavy into it or whatever. And really, prayer was really what it fascinated me more than anything. Yeah. I don't really even tell this part of the story, but you got it today. Exclusive. So I was heavy into church and blah, blah, blah. So then the little trauma hit. I was going through a divorce and I come back to my parents' house. And I'm at my parents' house. The book was peeking at me then. Nobody said nothing. I grabbed the book. I had a better concept of the book at 30, but still didn't know what to do with it. Yeah. I knew it was a driving force, so I started tearing it apart and how can I build off of this and what, but I'm still, on the bike, but the bike hadn't always come all the way together. So I had the training wheels up, riding, but how do I get to that next building block? So I think that was a portion of the journey that had to happen. Sometimes we don't like for life to happen. And even with the Awaken, even talking about that part of the journey, it ain't always been easy. I never seen color, but I seen discrimination. Oh, wow. Never seen color. My parents never, some of my best friends and came over and they didn't look, we just knew that's my friend Nicole, that's my friend, these are my friends. And my parents we never knew what color was. But as you grow up, you do see it. Yeah. And you got to either work with it or you become this person that it harbors in your heart. Yeah. And I think that's been a learning block of my understanding. And I still don't see color. Yeah. I see people. Yeah. And I think sometimes that can give me a trouble because I love people. Yeah. People are my passion. Yeah. People. Oh yeah. People are my passion. I can see that. People I can definitely see people that. Look, if you tell me I see somebody, okay, I'm gonna go fix her shirt. She don't know me from Adam. Ma'am, you got, oh my gosh, thank you. Or they just look at you like you're crazy. But I love. And sometimes fixing people can get you in trouble. It can be hurtful. Because they don't want to be hurtful sometimes. But I think as I've grown, I've learned. People are people. Yeah. And you meet them where they are. And all journeys are not supposed to go to the end.
That is true.
It's heavy, but it's real. All journeys aren't supposed to go to the end. Man. So, yeah.
I want to ask you something that is kind of like feeling like I should ask you. I don't know why. How do you feel like your discernment has developed over this process?
Woo. it's developed.
Man.
Yeah, it's developed. Going back to people, friends, family. I wanted to see everybody make it.
Yeah.
So if I have family at this, if I put it all together, it's gonna be good.
Yeah.
Everybody don't fit with everybody. I fit with everybody in some aspects.
Yeah.
I mean, there's people who don't like me, but
really, where they at?
I mean,
we could change that.
I mean, there is. But at the end of the day, when you're making a cake, you gotta have the right ingredients.
Yeah, that is true.
So
that is true.
And if the cake didn't work that first time, that's where your discernment got it. What did you miss? What was it? But it was all through growth and development. Yeah. So, me being that people person, it hurt me when somebody didn't really fulfill what they said they can fulfill. Or it hurt me when things didn't go the way that I thought they were. But really, it was part of the plan.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, the part of the plan part. I love that you said that, because sometimes you'll think that something isn't a part of the plan. And you'll have your own plan, not realizing that you're exactly where you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
You're exactly where do you feel like you're exactly where you're supposed to be?
I feel like I am now starting to arrive, because there were some things at the table that I made fit. And that wasn't part of, when you go back to talking about part of the plan, it wasn't part of the plan. Yeah. So as I've started to take that discernment and really fulfill it, I see things a little bit different. Yeah. I can see some things a mile away now, where before I'd be like, oh, it's going to be okay. Yeah. Everything ain't Skittles and butterflies anymore. But I used to live in that. I used to live in that glass house. I definitely understand. I definitely have lived in that glass house for a while, but I see it now, and I see it different. But it goes back to the enjoyment of people, because this creation can take you to where you're looking at and you just want to go home and but at the end of the day, I still get back up. I put my pants on the same way anybody else do. I put my shoes on. I'm no different than anybody else coming in the room. People say, oh, she the CEO. First day of class, Q will tell you, I come in with a sweatshirt on if it's cold. You know it. I'm gonna put my tennis shoes on. Because I feel like I'm the same person. Now, do y'all correct me? Yes, y'all hold on a minute. But at the end of the day, I feel like I'm just as human as any other person coming in the room. Yeah. So
speaking of seeing, this year specifically, last year too, but a lot this year, you have received a lot more visibility. And I know me and Q, we sometimes do that on purpose.
Yeah.
You like to play the background. You like to be in the background. But how has the transition of you having more visibility?
Sad to say, but I think when they told me that it was my last time teaching in DeKalb, I was like, what do you mean? And it took one of the funders to say, wonderful. They were like, I need you in your CEO role now. I understand it, but here I am. I'm trying to teach a class, and then I got 7 meetings that I've had to say, can I do this, and this? So I was burning a candle definitely at both ends. So there was no more background. It was like you gotta do it, and you gotta do it to the magnitude to where you're growing, because you're showing us numbers. You're not just, so it was a different level that they were seeing in me that I was bringing to the table, but it was my baby. So holding on to my baby and then starting to hand it over. I did. Discernment had to kick in, because, when you go to hand your baby to, we both got mine's older, but we both got children. You're just not giving your baby to anybody. Is there a background check to this? Can you give me a little bit more of who you are?
And why do you want to hold my baby?
Because then it kind of goes both ways. At the end of the day, I'm wondering, why do y'all see this in me? But I'm doing the work and I don't know, so it does. So this year has been a lot more exposure. Definitely I've been in places that I wouldn't have never thought of. When I spoke about Mortensen kept us on, and we just had a graduating class that graduated from Minnesota. Nice. So we right now Awaken covers DeKalb, Freeport. We've covered Minnesota, and then Rockford, and then some parts of Cook, with depending on where we are. So this year has been It definitely has been a little bit. We had to put Culinary on hold for a little bit, but it's coming back alive.
Yes.
So we're excited about what's getting ready to happen with that. So
when people hear your name, they hear credibility, they're seeing the visibility, they see that you're putting in the work. You have really become a credible source in not only the Rockford community, but all of the different communities that you're in. When people hear the name Jurea Crudup, what do you want them to think of?
Just that, being credible to what we're doing, how we're building. And then I wanted to speak to that community that we're in. So I never want to come into a community or work in a community that we're not fulfilling what their ask is. Me and Q kind of went to DeKalb and had a real good round table yesterday. And that's the first thing. I've heard a lot about you. And I deflected. Oh, Q, they heard a lot about you. She's like, no. I've heard a lot about, it was like, okay, well, but I think anywhere we go, we want to be, whether it's you carrying the name or, hey, Mercedes, I see you work with Awaken. I want it to be Awaken. And I know that Jurea is attached to it. And sometimes I get a little beside myself and but I wanted to always speak volumes in a room. I never wanted to speak to where it's not fulfilling.
This season, you've had a lot of collaboration. We've done a lot of different events. You've had a lot of, like we said, visibility. There's been a lot of community impact. Me and Q, we often talk about the events that have happened, like the he builds, the she builds, stuff with Halloween, networking events, tapping into mental health. What does it feel like when you go to these events and you speak about Awaken and you see people coming to support?
It feels good. It really does feel good. It gives you an outlook of the word awaken. When you think about it, awaken is something like, like it's saying that you've tapped into something that is bigger and there's more to come. Awaken doesn't have a period. It can be a full sentence, but it's a lot that follows. And that's how I look at it. It definitely is. I want it to be a ray of sunshine, Is it always going to be that way? No, it's not. But at the end of the day, that's what I want. So I went to this Awaken program and this is what I got out of it. And I now have employment or I now have my own business. I now have a routine. Sometimes people just come because they need something. And the way the world is right now, everybody needs something.
They really do.
They need something.
I was at He Builds, and there was a moment that I've seen a lot on the back end. I've seen the events. I've seen just how you are, and you're so personable. But one thing that I love is the staff that you have now takes that on. And just an example to give, when we were doing He Builds, there was a young man where a lady was talking about how he had came and he just needed support, not going too much into his business, but he needed the support. And after she said that, I saw the way that it was cute. It was probably about maybe 3 or 4 of the Black men in the room went over to him and, what do you need? What do you need? And he was in a moment where he didn't know what he needed, but he knew that the support and the resources were now coming to him, and he didn't really know how to take that in. But he sat and he was quiet and he was like, I don't really know what I need. He's like, I lost my job and this and I'm trying to figure this out and I just don't know. Right. So Awaken and that was a moment that was really cool. Not one that I captured because it was a personal moment, but it was such a cool moment to witness because I see the energy and the love and the care that you've put into Awaken. When you're not there, your staff does the exact same thing. And they take the care and the delicacy and the vulnerability with treating people like they're really people. And a lot of times you don't see that. I've seen programs, I'm not gonna name drop, but I've seen programs where they treat students like numbers and they're moving them through. They don't answer after a certain hours. If a student has something or they can't get there, they're not trying to help them figure that out.
And even going back to He Builds, it's funny because he bills happened, and then there was the graduation in Minnesota. So I hadn't been to graduation, so that was the last one. And I'm like, well, you guys, I gotta catch a flight. And so they were like, we got this, we got this, you know. So
very much
then I get the report. It was like, it was this. I'm like, oh, okay, you guys really have it. So, but being in the room and being able to answer a situation right at that moment is huge.
It was.
And not looking at a person for their issues or whatever it is. And if they didn't even come through the program, we're still here to help you and get you to your resources. And speaking of that, we even had a couple of people who've come through, and we were able to get them with housing, you know, to be able to get them to, you know, a guiding way. Now, we might not have all the answers, but sometimes, you know, hey, let me make one phone call, or Carolyn or Johnny, you know. Our first year doing HSME is that heavy sheet metal program for high schoolers. And that was one of the talks that we had down in DeKalb. So Matt Duffy from DeKalb, he's part of the chamber. And I know you guys have already did a podcast with him. He's like been our bestie, you know, like we've made all these besties, Q, you know, operating Carolyn. We all made these friendships. But with those friendships, and the collaborations that you're talking about, it has given us a driving force to make us credible. Because when he says your name, it has something, you know, if he's saying, hey, have you heard of Awaken? They're like, oh, no. Okay, well, I'm going to put you in contact with them. So it gives you that credibility and that standard of just seeing the bigger picture. Collaboration, we're now at Northwest Community Center, which has been huge for us. I feel like we've made family. We come in, we joking from the front desk all the way back, you know, from the person who's doing the cleaning, you know, so everybody is a person there, you know. The kids, I'm high-fiving them. One of them, she come in, can I just sit and talk, you know, so just those building blocks is what we want to be able to continue. So we feel like that is like home now, you know, that has definitely been home. But man, collaboration is huge. It really is, you know, not being at, just an outsider, you know, a silo. You know, we got so many silos, but to come together and serve one person, one purpose, that's huge. And it's not just here, you know, we're touching Freeport. We, you know, we want to be able to go and grow. You know, that's really go and grow. You gonna tell us when or?
Oh, we still rolling, so we
okay, good.
We can go whenever.
All right, well, thank you for joining us, Quentin. The tables have turned. I call this reverse Uno.
Oh, okay, we hitting the Uno reverse.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kind of like a plot twist. So I did write down a few things since we have been on a journey. And as we've been on the journey, man, we 2 years in, you're 2 years in on this one. I wanted to ask you guys some questions of what has awakened, with the word awaken, when you hear it out, what do you feel like? Like, what does it do for you? You know, or somebody out using Mercedes. Hey, I see Mercedes. They'll say to me, hey, I see Mercedes works for you. Or, you know, she does all of your blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, yeah. Do you know her? And they'll be like, no, I just seen her on social media or blah, blah, blah. So, oh, she's a wonderful person, you know. But to be able to ask you, what has the journey been like for you?
Oh, goodness. Whew. So I first came to Sunny's place for the Wabongo Wednesday.
Oh, yes.
And that was when I had met you. And at the time, I didn't know you were you. So this whole time, me and Elmo had talked about you.
Right.
But I was like, oh, okay, you know, I didn't think anything of it because I didn't know you. But he was telling me your story. He was telling me, you know, how you were. And he was like, I think you guys would really click. He was think you guys would really click. And he was like, you know, whenever we get the chance, I really want to introduce you to her. And I was like, okay, in my mind, it'll happen when it's supposed to happen.
Right.
Not realizing that it was building up to happen in your own restaurant.
Yeah.
So like you said, when you first met me, I had Max. He was strapped on. I was at the Wabongo Wednesday. You know, it was just, that was just my everyday norm till, you know, coming in to getting the catfish. Then, talking to, oh goodness, I can't think. Corey. Yes. Yeah. And me and Corey got to talking and he was like doing stuff online and he was like, well, we need help with, you know, our social media. He was like, I'll let our boss know.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, you know, and then to finally sitting down with you. And I think it was right before I was about to sit down with you, I realized who you were. And I called Elmo.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know the lady that you were telling me about, that you're always telling me about? And he was like, yeah. I was like, I have a meeting with her next week. And he was like, you do? I was like, yeah, we're going to talk about like marketing and all this other stuff. And so it was really a time and a place thing, because when I walked into Sunny's place, the first thing that went in my mind, I was like, it'd be so cool to work with them. And I'm in the place where, in my mind, if I'm meant to work with someone, it'll happen. I no longer take the initiative. I feel like if I'm meant to, work with somebody or know somebody, it'll happen. And that kind of just happened. It was a click. Yeah. And for me with Awakened, all of my clients, for the most part, I've really kind of collaborated with, on the mental health part with, Representative West, different things. So in my mind, I have clients that are family and have become family. And I can say that Awaken y'all have become family. Right. Like I call y'all, I blow both of y'all phones up. And I'm just like, what are we doing? This and this and that, the events are fun for me. Yeah. Y'all know I don't like meeting on Fridays. I don't like doing stuff on Fridays. I don't like people
and we appreciate
on Fridays.
We appreciate it.
And I talk crap, but for y'all, there are a certain amount of clients that I will give them my Fridays. Yeah.
Let's pause for the call and celebrate that it's actually Friday today.
I know.
We're here on Friday.
Yes.
So we got present y'all on the Friday. Yes. And we didn't even have to feed her.
Oh, that's still up for debate. Because it's 11 o'clock. It's about to be lunchtime. So
it is.
I hope
it's time for our
ready.
We'll have
weekly
to.
Trip
We'll
to
make
disco.
sure you get what you need.
Pull that card out. Put the order in. You already know where, but you already know the order too. So I don't know why you acting brand new, because boss here. But But no, honestly, Awaken has really become family. Okay. Even with She Builds, He Builds, hoodies and Halloween. We do all of these events, and a lot of times, so a lot of the stuff that we do, I bring Max to. Yeah. And for me, that speaks volumes, because I feel like if I'm able to bring my child around, like that's my most precious thing. Exactly. And how he engages, and the work that you guys do, it's real, and I get to see the impact. And it's not like people think when you're doing social media and you're doing marketing that you're just planning stuff out. There are a lot of organic moments, even some that I can't share. I was telling Jurea about the moment that happened with the young man at He Builds. That was an amazing moment, but that wasn't a moment for me to capture or to share. Right. So I really get to see the boots on the ground, the real work. And I can this is going to be kind of cliche to say this, but for me, working with the Awaken Foundation, it's been awakening. Awesome. I just recently moved, and there's this shelf that I put together. I actually had a video that I put it together. So like being around y'all and seeing certain stuff, now I kind of have like a little bit of a false confidence, because I feel like I can build a house.
You can do a little something.
I feel like if you need the structure
built,
that's the way
I feel. Yeah,
you might want to check it.
Yeah, no,
you might not want to sit on it
there, but wait until you figure it out.
Exactly, but it's so cool, because even the way of looking at the students and their families, but the way that you guys put into your vision and you put into work. And we've had these discussions, because it's funny that I found me and Jurea are kind of a little bit more alike than I would have thought. And Elmo told me that. And I was just like, oh, whatever, you're just saying that. Like, I didn't really. But then meeting her and like seeing her dynamic, and I was like, oh, you're doing too much too. Yeah. Oh, you need to chill out too. Yeah. Oh, I need to chill out.
Yeah, right. You need to.
You gotta pull back.
But my pull back, I feel like I'm not doing enough in pullback season.
And that's the thing. But it's cool to see, because you're in a place where I want to be. Like when you got a team, I was like, she got a team.
But we've talked about that before.
Oh my gosh, we've had these discussions.
We have.
We've had these discussions.
And we do continually.
We do.
Continually.
That's the thing. And that's the cool part of it's actually become, you guys aren't just clients and people that I work with. There's actually a clientship there. Yeah. Like you guys have become family. Like when I get married, y'all gonna be there.
Oh,
I already told you, open
bar. We're here for it. We're here for it.
But it's cool, because to see the work that y'all are really doing. And like Q, you hear me say this on the podcast all the time. I like to stir the pot. I like to say,
this is your pot stirrer.
Surprisingly,
I see.
But and I'm okay with saying that, because the reality of it is I see what you guys do behind the scenes. I see the work that you guys are putting in. I see how students at graduation are like crying with their parents. And you walk past and you hear like, Miss Jurea made this happen. Yeah. Or you hear somebody say, Quentin really looked out for me. And it's those moments that don't get to be told, where you're like, these are really some dope people.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. And I think that's pretty much what our desire is.
Yeah.
That's how we want to speak.
That's
that is. It really is. That's
some
our
days
drive.
that's the only reason you do it. Like, you gotta have that interaction.
I
it
agree.
pushes you forward.
Yeah.
It's like, man, this is important.
Yeah.
This is important.
Y'all do a lot, but y'all set the standard.
So saying that a lot.
Yeah.
Quentin, I'm gonna come to you and look, I might have to put my head down because I might get a little teary-eyed or something. But we had to, you know how you can tell a story and you tell all the good moments.
Yeah.
But me and Quentin had to go through a tunnel, and the tunnel was dark because we didn't know what the end of the tunnel looked like. We knew it was probably some light at the end, but we had to be the driving force to make the classroom work, make this work, bring it all together. So, everybody always wants to give you the blossom and butterflies, but there is also a other side when you're building. But the failure is not a failure.
Yeah.
I always say it's that reconnection to stop, hold on, and let's see where we're going here.
Yeah.
Because sometimes when you don't stop, you'll make a mistake and never address the mistake. So we had some addressing that we had to do. And as we were building, we moved out of one building, we found a new home. And you just never know. When you was talking about things finding you, I was sitting there and I get this phone call, and it was from one of the newer instructors, but I knew them all my life. I knew them, so I'm like, Q, we got a phone call, blah, blah, they're going to come meet. So in the meantime, as I'm still pulling back, he the driver.
Man.
Q.
Get the gas.
He got the keys. Hey, you need a gas card. I ain't got but $10, but here, keep it going. And he did. He did that. And as he was continuing to build the blocks and making things happen, it was more so of we building trust in each other. It was some late nights. It was some early mornings. He down in DeKalb, leaving out at 6 a.m. because the meeting is at 7. I'm like, okay, I'm on my way. Where are we going? And it just, if we both went back, I don't know how it happened. Wow. I don't think either one of us could say how that whole year happened. But then the pieces started coming together. Yeah. And I had a grandbaby in between there. I'm flying out. He's still running the show. I'm working from there. Then my daughter has to move. So it was just so many different pieces, and people always be like, "Y'all don't get burnt out." Well, as I'm asleep, he awake, and so we kind of did that. So I always give him his kudos of how you done it, and then he has family too. So we built that. But I just want to say, what has Awaken done for you? As we look at the plot twist that I put in the room.
Yeah, that you definitely set us up for.
Definitely set. We got to talk about this after.
We do.
Like, whoa.
We did not see that coming, and we should have. We should have.
Right.
But I'll say for me, it's probably the same. It's the same cliche, and it's awake, but kind of in a different form. For me, my big thing already was intentionality. So it definitely has awakened that intentionality because to do that job, you're coming beside somebody and trying to change their life literally. And so you have to do that in a very intentional way. And then also kind of speaking to how we've done or how we figured out how to do so much, sometimes with short staff, is just you have to do that in a very intentional way. So you have to be very intentional about how you approach it, about the systems you use, about the communication, like she said, about the trust, because it is, we're having conversations and then we're going off and doing our piece of the work. So it's like you have to come back to the table and make sure what's going on and, keeping that fluid. And, like you said, you don't see that, you don't see the light at all at first. And so you are in the dark.
You are.
And but you learn to work in the dark. That's the thing you learn. I think that's the thing I've definitely learned. I'll say with age, even though I'm still, considered a baby to most people. At the big age of recently at the big age of 38, I feel like that 38. Is kind of that's kind of one of the things that I'm definitely settling into is just doing the work. You just do the work, man. You can get caught in the work, and the work helps pass the time too. So you look up and it's a year, okay, I really don't know how we got through that, but you just wake up and you got more work to do. There's plenty of work to do. There's plenty of things to keep you busy. And then the people are what help fuel you because you are getting a chance. You do get a chance to impact lives. And not everybody gets a chance to do that. Everybody doesn't get a chance, I guess, to directly see that. Everyone is doing something that's impacting lives, but to be able to see, especially like that was one of the reasons for making a lot of those moments larger. It's for them, but it's also for us, because you have to have a reason to keep pushing forward. So you celebrate that. That's why I say we celebrate as hard as we do, because we need that fuel. They need that fuel. We gonna have harder days. They certainly gonna have harder days, because it's not gonna get easier because you're trying to, fix your life. Life fights back. We find that out. It fights back. Really, and so you gotta be equipped. So that's part of the equipping, is taking that moment to celebrate. Like you said, taking that moment to stop, to slow back, to pull back or whatever.
See what the picture looked like. Did you use the right watercolors? Thinking about how you're going to draw your next chapter. And speaking of that, the other part of the plot twist is I want to thank you both for your creativity, because you guys do bring a lot of creativity to the room. I know that the first few years we were doing job fairs, we were doing, a lot of things like that. But to have something like this, it speaks volumes. Because it's now telling the story. When you go to a job fair, we can't sit there and tell them the story. Now, they all, my family say that I'm a TikTok girl now, but it took me forever to even join TikTok. But just going on and seeing the different ways that we can do things, and that we don't have to sit in a room where it's more, okay, here's this piece of paper. Now they can go online and see, okay, this for real. Being able to see how people have grown from when they were in class and now they're instructors, So, but those are things that we all have become small but mighty, just being able to have the dynamics of learning, okay, I fulfilled this wheelhouse for right now, but now I'm handing that over. And I know that's a problem with me and Q that I'll have to bring up. We not good at handing the baby over, because we know the baby done fail. We done pick the baby up. We done clean the baby up, so.
I'm living that this week. I'm living that so bad this week.
So just putting that elephant in the room for both of us, it was hard for me. I kind of gotten so much better. He still.
I'm not so much better. I failed this week. I failed a major test this week, and I realized this morning. I woke up this morning and was like, that's what that was. Like all week, I'm like, why am I?
It was a test.
It was, and I failed.
It was a test.
But that's what it is. Like that is the process of success. You fail your way to success. As crazy as that sounds,
it is, but it's true.
But you fail, adjust. You fail, adjust.
You
fail,
do.
adjust.
Yeah, and you have to get up.
You got to feel the holes.
Dust yourself off, and then know that tomorrow a new day. No matter what, we thank God we all awaken.
Right. Thank God that you awake.
We awake.
As long as you awake.
But at the end of the day, we close our eyes with a new journey and a new task. So when he even said about John, hey, I got John, I know, Jurea,
shout out to our producer.
Yes. Just knowing that it's building. Look, I'm like, okay,
probably got boss lady in the office. She's like, oh, okay,
I'm here. But just to be able to tell the workforce portion. So let's talk a little bit about that, and then I know that we gotta probably get going, but the workforce is more than just workforce. It's employing your whole organization. It's you meeting with us. It's the collaboration of Northwest. It's Maurice realizing what we're doing. So when you talk about workforce, it's a puzzle. And the puzzle has to be put together strategically. And you got to also go back to what you were saying. Who's at the table? Because everybody doesn't fit, and that's okay. But as you put the puzzle together, you'll find out what fit, what doesn't fit. So when he was bringing the podcast, I'm like, at first I was like, but then as he started sending clips, I'm like, okay, this, And then okay, that's where my TikTok, I was like, hey, let me see if there's anybody else doing this.
Tell people how to find you on TikTok. What's your handle? You know your handle?
It's Awaken 789 on TikTok, So I'll just say though that it's funny, because now as I have seen how social media plays a big part in young people, we've had a lot of people saying, oh, I seen y'all on blah, 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 or I seen, or my friend sent me this. Social media is is what is the driving force. So when Q started going out and being creative and going into the high schools, it was huge because a lot of people are sitting on the couch that have graduated and don't know what the next steps are. I mean, we all graduated, and I can't tell you I knew what the blueprint was. You know, our families will tell us go to college, or so that's where I believe that we are reaching audiences that need us. You know, and it might be from that middle school to 30 years old, or even some who are looking to do a new adventure in life, because we've had that happen. So I guess what drives me in sitting talking to you all, because I know that you've grown since we first met in such, such a way. You've grown, you've outgrown some of the sitting at the table to now you are the table at the high school games. You are, you touching different people that we never even, we kind of, Guilford told us we broke ground. Nobody had never been in Guilford in that
Can we talk about that?
Yeah, I mean, think about it. That was
this one over here.
That was huge for us to be able to get in that. Yeah, me too. I didn't know what Q was doing, and all he did was tell me, "You got to be here at this time." And I listen to him now. I used to be like, "Q, what are we doing now? What?"
Can we talk about that though?
Yeah, that was huge.
That was setting the standard.
Yeah,
like when you really talk about doing the work.
Yeah.
To celebrate students for going into trades and not making them feel like only college is your option, or you can only be an athlete, or you have to have the best grades, but to celebrate going into trades.
Yeah. And I think Nehemiah and Jamarian, I think they think that I'm their mother outside of their mother. I have a candy jar, and I'll look up, and my door will be closed. I was on a meeting one day. He was like, "Let's get a piece of candy," and I'm like,
"I'm not gonna make no noise."
And so I'm like, I was like, "Excuse me, you guys. One of my students, my son from another, but we've made relationships."
Yeah.
His grandmother that I've known, she came up to me. She said, "I told him, I don't know what she's done to you, but you're a whole nother kid." So him coming in with his hood on, never saying too much of anything, to
Always
coming in the other
hide.
day to talking what's next, asking what's next. That's fulfilling.
That's
fulfilling. But it took a you to be able to put it out there. It took a you to go and make the connection. So it's not just, it's about me. So when you say that, I'll be like, boy, it take a forest. It take a village.
Yeah,
it takes a village.
That's one life, and that's a lot
village,
of, like you said, that's a lot of different touches.
Yeah. But the one thing that I can say, we always say Miss Carolyn she's the rub, the back
That's
rubber.
the house mom.
Yeah, she's the house mom. And Mr. Johnny, he a straight shooter. He gonna reel you back in after his wife has rubbed your back, but he gonna reel you back into that reality piece of, okay, son, she gave you what you needed, but I'm gonna give you what you need to be in a manly aspect. So, playing those parts, and then that transition. And we're really heavy this year, if you had to ask, and we're looking more so of what does transition look like. We can give you everything you need as far as classroom, but now I need to fulfill that job and the purpose of what that is. So I just wanted to take my plot twist and say, hey, how do you all feel? Because it's one thing to do it with me, and you guys are interviewing everybody, but how do you feel about it? But the journey has been amazing. Yeah. I even like my knees. They got scraped up. I had my elbows. I didn't have on no helmet, any of that. But at the end of the day, we've arrived at a different place. Yeah. I'll say that. Yeah. If long as you don't give up and you don't quit, arrival might be a little rocky. It might be some gravel. But at the end of the day, you're still going to where you're growing. Very, very and that's really, and I didn't even know you were wearing that shirt today, but definitely go through what you go through. So you have to. But I think that it's been a good journey. It's been, and it'll continue. I can't wait to see what our next, actually, I'm just going to say 6 months are going to be like, because with the holidays and everything getting ready to enter in, I just feel like it's going to be amazing to what our next will be and what our next will look like. out of these classes, my goal, I really want to see somebody own their own business. I really want, that they go from here, they go to Think Big, or, they've had this workforce development. They've got maybe their feet wet with a job, but their whole goal is a young person to own their own business and be able to hire others that are coming through. So making that pipeline, because we need more minorities in city of Rockford and surrounding areas. We need young people to now, and think about it. There's drones. There's so many ways that they can tap in to, it doesn't have to be you out there fulfilling and you're doing that portion of the work. It is so many avenues. Look, it could be you own your own business and you're with a construction and social media, marketing.
Right.
There's
Exactly.
now I built, I need somebody who's doing bidding and estimating, so there's so many behind the scenes. Our big reach right now is women. We want to get more women into construction. That's my focus. So with the job placement, but in the safety wheelhouse. Women we're always we're gonna be that safe haven. So
and
we've
y'all
added,
follow instructions. We don't.
Yeah, right.
I'm gonna look at it and be like, it should go this way.
Yeah.
I was looking at the instruction. Why?
So,
I can see it clearly go this
exactly.
way. I'm not looking at no instructions, but y'all will. Y'all will follow.
So I really want to be able to focus with them on the back office portion and safety. That's my focus for our next upcoming year. Getting them to be able to see the big picture outside of it, but then also give them a dream and a goal. Because as women, we sit in the back, we stirring, we changing the diapers. We're but it's so much more to get outside of that box.
Very much true.
So
very much. I love that.
Yeah.
I like this plot twist.
This was a good plot twist. We're gonna have to start doing that, giving our guests a chance to ask a few questions.
So I can't say that I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you for getting me outside of my comfort zone today.
Can we talk about how long it took?
I mean,
well, you're here,
but I made it.
Listen,
I made it.
It was because you do the real work. You do the real work.
Yeah, so. But I can't do it without you all. So definitely, I can't wait to see the instructors and some of the other team members come into the room.
Ferg is gonna be hilarious.
Yeah, that's so I can't wait. I might have to just pop in on that one just to. I just show up a little bit and but I'm excited to see. Today we are actually officially going to the Black Contractors. We was invited to come to the Black Contractors event today. So we're excited to see how and where that's going to lead us, and guide us. So a little plug to them. And then I'm going to leave out with this. I didn't start with this, but I figured I'll end with this. When I first started this, I took a boot camp, and you guys look him up. His name is Cornelius Griggs. He's with GMA out of Chicago. And he gave us some nuggets as he was building his business. And now he has over $1 million business. I think it's probably way more than that. It's probably like $15-20 million. But I came in at the beginning and he gave me some nuggets. And one of the nuggets that stood out to me was, if you see the finish line, look beyond it. So if you see that finish line, look beyond it because it's more. It's more beyond that. So I do want to just say with all of us and including John, we might think that it's here, but it's still more to go. That's true. And that more it might be your son. So, you training up a child the way they supposed to go. It might be your son. So when you see the finish line, know that that's not the end for you. There's more to go. True. So just that's the nugget I want to leave in the room, so.
Well, thank you for coming. This is, oh my goodness, I've been waiting for this. I have been waiting for this conversation, and I knew it was going to be good. But I'm just so excited that you shared your story. You shared your vision, why you're doing what you're doing. And that people get to see you because you're always in the back doing work.
I am.
I just want to put you in the front and be like, look at her.
I appreciate it.
This is what she's doing.
Right. I do appreciate it.
This was that moment.
I appreciate it. Man. I do want to thank all of our funders. That's CEJA, the Illinois Tollway, Climate Works, U.S. Bank, Workforce Connection. We also partner with Goodwill, and then Cook County Workforce. We partnered with them also. So I do want to do a big shout out to all, and then all those that you have had at the table prior to this. You know, we've had some really, you guys have had some awesome guests. So I can't wait to see what's next for podcasting and whatever else you guys got in y'all vault. So
We got some ideas.
We got some ideas. Employers,
We got some
come find us.
Yeah,
We got
definitely.
More social media, TikTok, Recruiter Q. I'll be out in the streets and just letting y'all get a POV of what we do. So you'll see us, you'll see Mercedes, you'll see Jurea, and the rest of our staff, and just kind of showing y'all, like we said, we want to tell the story. So we finding more ways to tell the story.
Yeah. I can't wait till some of our students I think we got a good group that between this last class that'll definitely want to come in and tell their story, just of where they've come from and where they're going. Some of them probably tell you how many times their mother has called me or whatever have you. So, like I said, we do become a big family. So thank y'all. Thank y'all for being a driving force. I appreciate it.
Thank you for letting us do this.
Yeah.
And being open to it.
Yeah.
For sure.
I remember when Q gave me the call, he was like, she said yes. Yes, let's go.
Right?
I did. He was like, and he said it so fast. I was like, okay. I mean,
that's one thing I love, though. You're very open to the ideas that we have. And some of the ideas.
if we don't try it, how do we know?
How do we know?
How do we know?
Yeah.
How do we know? And y'all new age, you know, I mean, the age, but I'm gonna kind of roll with it. But at the end of the day, it works. Yeah. It works. Yeah. And you're working a system that the old way doesn't work anymore. You know, we gotta meet them where they're at, and they scrolling all day. They, we have to say, all right, can you put your phone to the side? You know, but if that catches their attention and that's where the need is, and that's where we can get them, then that's what we have to do.
That makes sense.
Yep.
So it's a wrap.
Signing off.
Thanks for spending time with us here on Awaken, Building Bridges, Bridging the Gap. We hope today's conversations inspired you and gave you a new perspective on trades and the people behind them.
And before we wrap up, we want to thank our sponsors for truly making this possible. We'd like to thank CEJA, leading the way in clean energy opportunities, Climate Works, powering careers and sustainability, and the Illinois Tollway for investing in infrastructure and workforce pathways. Their support allows us to keep these conversations going and speak to viewers like you.
Until next time, keep building purpose through the trades.
And keep building bridges in your own community.